The start of the third day on the Natchez Trace Parkway finds us waking up at the Jeff Busby Campground and heading to the highest point on the trace at 800 feet. Another place to access the old Natchez Trace. A place to get out and stretch one's leg and walk where our forefathers walked. Here we can see one of the larger turnouts, no real parking. This is how it is on much of the Natchez Trace. Traveling the trace to our next stop. Driving the trace is something well worth putting on anyone's list of things to do. The old trace access shows up many times along the Parkway. I would recommend stopping at least once to relive history. The 6 burial mounds and associated habitation area at the Byram site were built during the Middle Woodland period between 100 BC and 100 AD. The mounds range in height from 5 to 14 feet. 5 of them were excavated by the National Park Service in the late 1940s. The 2 largest mounds have been restored for public viewing. Here at Witch's Dance is a picnic area and the start of horse trails. While we were here, we saw 2 horses getting ready to traverse the trace. The owner of the horses offered to take a photo with Mrs. Tiger on the horse, but the horse and Mrs. Tiger decided it was not a good idea. The Davis Lake Recreation Area is a few miles off the trace, but close enough to warrant a quick look. The recreation area offers more than 24 campsites, a picnic area, a group shelter, accessible flush toilet facilities, and a dump station. Davis Lake has multiple fishing docks, including some that are handicapped accessible. Campsites are equipped with tables, lantern posts, and campfire rings with grills. Drinking water is provided, and camping is between $20 and $40 a night, depending on the site. There is a 2-mile trail that wanders along the north edge of the lake to several earthen fishing piers. Located 3 miles west of the Natchez Trace Parkway in Mississippi's Tombigbee National Forest is Owl Creek Mounds Native American Ceremonial Complex. This archaeological site was originally composed of 5 Indian mounds, a central plaza, village area, and other key features. Many of these have disappeared over the years, but the 2 central mounds remain and are preserved in the park area. Also, there are walkways, interpretive panels, and a picnic area. Our return back to the Parkway, and 20 miles from Tupelo, Mississippi. For RVers, here's what a Class A looks like in one of the larger turnouts. On our way off the trace to Tupelo National Battlefield. In July 1864, Union forces, including men from the United States Colored Troops, marched into Tupelo, Mississippi. Disorganized Confederate soldiers fought fiercely but could not overpower the Federal troops. Neither side could claim clear victory, but the Union troops did succeed in their main goal, keeping the Confederates away from the Union railroads in Tennessee. As a note, there is no visitor center and no parking. The site itself is about 1 square block. The Parkway Visitor Center was open, but no one could go inside. The rangers were behind plexiglass and would answer questions through a slot in the glass. Getting our National Park Passbook stamped turned out to be an adventure in itself. If you're going to get out at an Old Trace historic site, I would recommend this one at milepost 269.4. Here, a short walk takes you to the burial site of 13 unknown Confederate soldiers. It is a most moving sight. Here at 20 Mile Bottom, there is a sign that states no RVs. That is because it is not a loop, and one must reverse to turn around, and there is very limited space. Anything longer than my Tiger at 26 feet would have a difficult time. The Far Mounds complex consists of 8 burial mounds built during the Middle Woodland period between 1 and 200 AD, ranging in height from 2 to 18 feet. The mounds are distributed over an area of about 85 acres. They comprise one of the largest Middle Woodland ceremonial sites in the southeastern United States. 4 of the mounds were excavated in 1966 by the National Park Service. The mounds covered various internal features, including fire pits and low clay platforms. Cremated and unburned human remains were found near these features, as were various ceremonial artifacts, including copper spools, and other copper objects, decorated ceramic vessels, lumps of galena, a sheet of mica, and a greenstone platform pipe. The copper, galena, mica, and greenstone did not originate in Mississippi. They were imported long distances through extensive trade networks. Such ritually significant non-local items typify the Middle Woodland period. Once more moving on the Natchez Trace, en route to our next destination. Milepost 293.2 is the Tennessee-Tombigbee Waterway and the Jamie L. Whitten Bridge. The waterway makes 459 miles navigable between the Gulf of Mexico and the Tennessee River. The waterway is administered by the U.S. Corps of Engineers. Jamie Lloyd Whitten, April 18, 1910 to September 3, 1995, was an American politician who represented Mississippi in the United States House of Representatives from 1941 to 1995. Even at day 3, we are still 124 miles from our journey's end. It is here at Colbert's Ferry we spent the night on the Tennessee River. Not sure it was a designated camping spot, but it did not say no overnight parking. Here is Mrs. Tiger enjoying the evening view. There was a lone barge on the river, and I decided to bring out the long-range lens to see what we could see. The barge was very slow moving. As long as the long lens was out, we decided to take a look at what was across the river. We spent an exciting night camped next to the Tennessee River, as there was a good-sized thunderstorm that passed by, but all arose undamaged. The last day, we take 2 off-road drives on the trace and end our 4-day excursion. We see a house on the trace and visit the Meriwether Lewis grave. If you want to see days 1 and 2, there is a link at the end of this video. And as always, thank you for watching.